Hello good people, it's me Kumaitila Kwasitile, your money manager. Today's video is dedicated to the unit trust investor. If you are a unit trust investor, please pay attention. This video has been created specifically for you. In today's video, I want us to talk about this very important document that you have to be aware of as a unit trust investor. You have to study this document before you make that investment decision, and also you have to make it habit to study this document on a regular basis while you are invested in a unit trust. The document that we're talking about today is the fund fact sheet. What is a fund fact sheet? A fund fact sheet, which in other markets they call a minimum disclosure document, MDD, is a document that gives you an overview of the fund. This document contains some key investment information that you have to be aware of as an investor. I am going to take you through the key information that you can pick from a fund fact sheet. This is information that is very crucial to your investment decision. The first thing that you are going to find from your fund fact sheet is the fund information. And in the fund information, you are going to find the fund investment objective. This fund investment objective is meant to help you as an investor to determine if the fund is suitable for you and for your financial goals. Because before you invest, remember, you need to set investment goals, and you are investing in this fund because it has the likelihood of helping you to achieve your investment goal. That is the fund's investment objective. And then still, maybe it could be placed anywhere, but still under the fund information, you are going to find number 2, the risk level of the fund. The risk level is an indication of the potential loss of capital that you are faced with. Different funds are going to categorize this risk level differently, but in most cases you are going to find a low risk, you are going to find a moderate risk, and you are going to find a high risk. But some funds will go further and break it down into maybe low risk, low to moderate, moderate to high, and high risk. You have to be aware of this because this, you are going to gauge this against your risk tolerance level. And the risk level of your fund is mostly tied to the underlying assets. Where is the fund investing? That is where the risk level of the fund is driven. And this risk level is basically showing you the volatility of the assets that the vest is investing in. Volatility, we are referring to the fluctuations either in the returns of the asset or in the value of the asset. And we know that in the financial world, the higher the risk, the higher the rewards. So you need to be aware of the risk versus returns, and select something that speaks to you, risk tolerance level. This is number 2, critical information that you're going to find from your fund fact sheet. Number 3 is the cost. The cost, normally 2 sets of costs that you are going to find. Number 1 is the cost that you are going to incur as an investor. And in this case, they will show you whether they require you to pay an initial fee for opening or for starting to invest with them. And they'll also show you how much you need to pay on an annual basis. This one, they normally call it an annual management fee. These are the 2 costs that you have to be aware of as an investor that are going to come out of your pocket. And then they are also going to show you the cost for the fund. These are the costs that the fund is going to incur for the overall management of the fund. It's a very important ratio that you have to be aware of. This ratio is called the total expense ratio. Total expense ratio, it shows the impact of the management as well as the operating cost on the overall value of the fund. Get it? And then there's also what we call transactional cost. Transactional cost, these are things like your commission fees or costs that are going to incur for the selling and buying of the underlying securities that the fund is investing in. Together, the total expense ratio and the transaction cost, they form what we call the total investment charge. But in most cases, they are going to show you the TER, the total expense ratio. You need to pay attention to this. Now that you are aware of the cost, which is number 3, we look at the 4th thing that you can pick, that you're going to pick from your fund is performance, the performance of the fund. Remember, you are investing because you want returns, and these returns are depicted by the performance of the fund. Normally, the performance are going to show you how the fund has been doing for the past period, comparing it to benchmark. Some funds will disclose what they're benchmarking against. It is important for you to pay attention to the long-term performance of the fund, because sometimes when you pay attention only to the short-term performance of the fund, you are going to get a distorted picture of the fund. So, and also you need to remember that the fund, the performance, the rates that you are going to see there, these are annual rate. Only maybe in instances where the fund is showing performance over a period of time that is less than a year, this is where maybe they are going to show you cumulative returns over that particular period of time, but mostly the performance is expressed on an annual basis. Most of the funds really, they are quick to always disclose to you that, you know what, past performance is not an indication of future performance. You are just seeing how the fund has been performing in the past, but it's not an indication that the fund will continue performing in that manner if maybe the fund has been outperforming benchmark. So that's the 4th thing that you have to see, the performance of the fund. 5th thing that you are going to see from your fund fact sheet is the holding details of the fund. Holding details here, we are referring to things like the size of the fund. We are referring to things like the composition of the fund. Composition of the fund is also known as the asset allocation. Asset allocation, we are referring to how the fund has been invested across the different asset classes. And some funds will go further and even show you the top 10 holdings of the fund. This is the top 10 assets that the fund has invested in. Now you are getting a clear picture of where your money is invested. You are not just in the dark. That is number 5. Number 6, you are going to see the income distribution. Income distribution here, they are telling you how the returns are distributed, how often the returns are distributed. In most cases, depending on the fund, returns can be distributed on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on a semi-annual basis, or even on an annual basis. But the fund fact sheet is going to tell you this information, so you know when to expect to get your returns when you invest in a fund. Lastly is the market commentary. The fund fact sheet is going to paint the picture for you of the economic landscape, is going to show you all the things that have got the potential of affecting the performance of the fund. The economic landscape, they will look at the maybe local, national, and even the global landscape of the things that are happening that are more likely to affect the performance of the fund. This is the key information that you can get from the fund fact sheet. Now you can see how important a fund fact sheet is in helping you to make that important decision of whether you are investing in that fund or you are not investing in that fund. Now that we know what to expect from the fund fact sheet, I want to show you the look and feel of a fund fact sheet. We are just going to go through 2 fund fact sheets from 2 different asset managers. I am not doing a comparison of these funds. I am just showing you the look and feel of the fund fact sheet. And so you can see this information, this key 7 things that I have already shared with you, where to find them in the fund fact sheet. Hope this is clear. Now let's go through the fund fact sheet. This is a money market fund by BFIM Unit Trust. So let's go through the details. You can see there the objective of the fund objective. And if I might just read it quickly, what the fund objective is. The fund aims to provide return and liquidity through allocation mainly to short-term investment. The fund is relatively low risk and caters for the low risk investor. There they are telling you the objective of the fund as well as the risk profile of the fund. Remember, we have said the risk risk profile is also very important. Let's go to the performance of the fund. You can see there, as depicted by the bar graph there, you can see the fund's performance against benchmark. As we look at the year 1, 2, 3 up to 5, and since inception, you can see that year 1, the fund performed at 7.6% against benchmark. Benchmark was at 0.6%, so the difference there was 7%. So it means that this outperformed the benchmark. This is very important. But when you look at the quarterly performance there, you can see that the fund is giving you like 2% against benchmark of 0.2%, which is still far ahead of the benchmark. So that's the performance of the fund. And then let's look at the cost. Remember also, we say that from the fund fact sheet you are going to get your cost. So under the quick facts, you can see the fees that you are going to pay as an investor. Initial fund fee is 0, and then there is annual management fee of 1%. Let's go to the cost that is incurred by the fund. There you remember I've spoken about the TER, which is total expense ratio. Here they're saying is total expenditure ratio. That ratio is 1.32%. Very important for you to see that ratio. And then we look at the fund's holding details. Details there is the allocation, the asset allocation. You can see where the fund is investing your money. You can see the bulk of the money is invested in fixed deposit and negotiable certificate of deposits. You can see there is also call, even though call I don't see it there. There's cash and settlement account, and there's interest bearing investment. So that's how the fund is invested. And you can see even the size of the fund. They have disclosed the size of the fund. This is a 1.7 billion fund. And the inception of the fund it was started in April 2012. So these are the details that you can see about the fund. And you can see also there is market commentary. Remember, we said you are going to get the market commentary, or the market overview is there. You can see it. This is BFUM Money Market Fund. Let's look at another fund fact sheet for a different service provider. You see there also a fund fact sheet by Vunani Fund Managers. This is also for their money market fund. You see, for their money market fund, let's see, there is the fund's objective. And if I may read it quickly, also the saying, the fund was created in response to demand for cash management with a conservative bias. The objective of the fund is to provide investors with the highest level of current income that is consistent with capital preservation. So if you're talking capital preservation, you are talking conservativeness. This is a low risk fund. And let's see, there's also there the performance of the fund. You can see it there. You see 1 year they returned 7.49%. I said I'm not comparing, but for you, you're gonna have to sit down and compare. And then against benchmark of 0.6, so they outperformed the benchmark. They've even shown you the cumulative performance of the fund. And here they've also shown you what I like, also the top 10 exposure. Remember, we've spoken about the holdings of the fund, that some would go in details and show you the top 10 exposure. So there they are showing you this is where your money is invested. You can see that your money is mostly with financial services or with banks. Stanbic Bear leading, Stan Chart, you can see, you can go over that. And then let's look at the cost. You see, they're also going to show you their cost. There you say the fees. These are the fees that you have to pay. Here they've broken it further. They've said the initial fee manager, the initial fee advisor. It means that some of the business is brought to them by advisors or agents. So that is there, the rate that you are paying, 0.68. And then also there is the annual fee for the manager, annual fee for the advisor specified there. And then let's look at the annual cost ratios. Yes. Now the costs that are incurred by the fund managers for managing this fund. Remember, we've spoken about the TER, total expense ratio. There you have it, is at 1.26%. Here they've also specified the transaction cost, they're saying is 0, and then they've they have the total investment charge, which is at 1.26%. So these are the details that you are getting from your fund. And then there is the market commentary. You can see the market commentary very much provided. And then, wow, one other thing that I forgot when we were looking at the first fund fact sheet is the income distribution. You can see there is income distribution. So for this particular fund, normally for your money market fund, income is distributed on a monthly basis. You can say declaration on a monthly basis. I don't know what we have not looked at. Maybe the risk profile, but the risk profile is there as well, even though they didn't specify it under the objective, but it's there. You can see the risk profile. You can see there is conservative. Conservative, we're talking low risk, and this is how they categorize their risk. There's conservative, there's moderately conservative, there's moderately aggressive, and there's aggressive. So aggressive is high risk, conservative is low risk. So these guys are your fund fact sheets. You just need to familiarize yourself with reading them. Make it a habit that you look at your fund fact sheets. There you have it. You have seen it. 2 examples of fund fact sheet. I'm sure you have seen this document somewhere. These documents are available on the public domain. You just have to go to the website of the unit trust provider and look for the fund fact sheet. And mostly these documents are issued on a quarterly basis. So you go in there, you look for the document, you find it, you read it, because you have to know how the fund is performing. You need to know what to expect. If you have not yet invested in a unit trust, please, before you invest, make sure you look at the fund fact sheet of the fund that you are interested in investing in. This is all that I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found this very insightful and it will help you in making that informed financial decision. Please don't forget to leave a comment and a like for me. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in another video.